Hi my crowns and tiaras, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and as you can tell by the title, we are doing a story time today. The story time is going to be on a fake storyline. It ended up breaking up a friendship of mine, and I will let you guys know how it went down. So without further ado, you go ahead and get your popcorn, whatever you need to get your drinks, go ahead and have a seat, and then we definitely will have a video for you guys as well. So before I go ahead and get into this video, make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that bell for post notifications for when I upload new YouTube videos every week. So also, there is a fly in my room. I have been fighting with a fly. I'm sure we have all had those days. We sit up here, we try to record, we sit up here and be trying to be in our little mellow moments or whatever the case may be, and it's just like it's something just bothering us. So regardless if it's a fly, if it's something else, you know, it's just like it's always something, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's for my creators. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the story. Okay, so I will call them Bob and Charlie. So I was friends with Bob and Charlie. Bob and Charlie, they didn't really get along like that, but at times they did. So it was kind of like a flippy-floppy kind of relationship in a way. But Bob and Charlie used to always get into it every once in a while. And then, you know, Bob is, I'm going to say Bob was one of my close friends. Bob was one of my close friends that was in my big O family. And Charlie was the guy that liked it, Bob. So, you know, I think it was just like a little mixed feelings there or whatever the case may be. And that's why they were always bickering or whatever the case may be. Anyways, so let's go ahead and get into it. So one day, me and Bob, we ended up, I'm sorry, not Bob. Me and Charlie, we ended up making this storyline up. We ended up calling each other on FaceTime and kind of, you know, giving them. So first of all, this is how it all started. I'm sorry, because I want you guys to really understand how everything went. And I do apologize. I am going to try to speed it. I'm going to try to, you know, not be so speedy with it. I'm not going to be trying to talk all fast and stuff. I'm going to be trying to make sure that you guys understand and know that who Charlie is and who Bob is and how everything happened. So, I'm sorry, but once again, so before the incident of me and them getting on the phone, it was me during my hours on Big O. It's a usual thing that I do. I usually like to do my hours in the morning. I do my 2 hours in the morning. I chat with my supporters. We talk. We do all that. And we talk about everything. Any and everything. Because as you guys know, I have a very transparent life that I do not mind giving to my supporters. Especially those who really are supporters. So that's what we kind of did that day. And this was kind of after me and Charlie ended up actually meeting in real life. So this is after me and Charlie ended up meeting in real life. So that morning on Big O, you know, me and Charlie, or either it was close to the afternoon, me and Charlie ended up getting into it or whatever. Charlie initiated that he wanted to fight. So, you know, then that's where the whole ordeal, the fight thing came in. So Charlie was basically explaining to me that he was about like an hour away, and never did he explain that he actually wasn't down here. Remind you, I did just meet up with Charlie. I did just meet up with Charlie, so there's a chance that he still might be down here, and that's the reason why now that we have argued, bickered out and everything, that Charlie is calling me and saying we might as well make this a storyline, which then I agree 100%. And I didn't really know how to really go about things because I'm not a storyline person. So I do think storylines are sometimes fun, but after this little incident, I just don't see myself doing storylines, especially if it could ruin friendships or it can have people feeling some type of way. So after all of this, you know, we ended up talking on the phone, discussing that we'll go ahead and do a storyline or whatever the case may be. And let's have the girls really think that me and Charlie are really about to fight. The whole day goes by. Me and Charlie are bickering. We're talking shit. You know, we're saying we got pictures and photos of each other. We're going back and forth to each other's panel, talking junk. And next thing you know it, me and Charlie are, you know, no, what, hold on. So after fussing, bickering, and, you know, being online or whatever, and, you know, initiating that we were going to fight, and, you know, saying that it was a storyline, then that's when me and Charlie basically kind of did our own thing through the day. You know, we didn't want to seem like we were too kumbaya and Hakuna Matata, because being that we never did storylines, we definitely were kind of blowing it. Like, we were lying together, we were up there laughing and joking and trying to be serious because we wanted to give a serious show. Big O had been dead for so long, and that ended up happening. Like, they ended up enjoying everything while it was happening, or whatever the case may be. They didn't really think, well, they did think, some people thought it was a storyline, some people didn't. So, you know, we had those 50-50s. And so after, you know, we did our thing throughout the day, you know, Bob comes around and, you know, is trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, well, you know, I'm about to go fight Charlie, and Bob, I never mentioned to Bob that it was a storyline. I never mentioned to Bob that it was a storyline. But Bob is like 2 hours from this location, about 2 hours from this location. So during the whole ordeal, I ended up kind of letting Bob know that me and Charlie were into it, and we was about to meet up, we was about to fight, and you know, I got the address, So during the day, I ended up falling asleep, and I ended up blocking Charlie at where we wouldn't have any contact. I'm sorry. Ooh. I ended up blocking Charlie at where we wouldn't have any contact to make it seem less suspicious, that it was more so like a storyline. So then after that, we, like I said, I discussed with Bob, like, you know, what was going down with the woo. And I ended up falling asleep later that day. I'm thinking, like, you know, Bob is up there, you know, somewhat kind of keying with me and keying about the situation a little bit, also with Charlie. And me thinking, this is just me assuming, that he might have knew it was a storyline. You get what I'm saying? So I ran with it. But at the end of the day, he didn't know it was. So while I was asleep, they ended up actually getting on the road and meeting up, which I had planned to go up there as well, but I was waiting on my ride. And because my spouse was going to go with me up there to fight, or, you know, to do the storyline or whatever the case may be. And, you know, to me, to my knowledge, it was just more so like, okay, so Bob is on the way up there. If Bob is on the way up there, I'm going to let him know, like, I'm on the way up there. I kept letting him know. I ended up falling asleep. So he did end up getting up there before my spouse even came. I ended up waking up. My spouse was basically like telling me that, you know, they were just making fun of Bob and making him feel like I was a backstabber. You get what I'm saying? Like, I was a backstabber, like I knew, and And the thing that I didn't know is that Charlie actually wasn't going to be up there. But I did fail to mention to Bob once again that it was a storyline. So, you know, that was my fault. But also, that's what I was trying to explain throughout the whole, you know, situation, is like when I was asleep, it was more so like we were actually on the way, but everything was already done and over with. Could you imagine waking up, the person is already up there, finding out that the person isn't even up there? You get what I'm saying? So, and then on top of that, the person isn't up there, and they're sitting up there making it seem like your friend basically knew they weren't going to be up there and do and basically trying to pinpoint it out on me that I should have been the one to say something, which I should have been, but at the same time, don't try to put it all on me. You get what I'm saying? So to my understanding, we were actually going to meet up, do a little fake fight, because I knew being that it was a storyline, we would have to make it look somewhat real, but we wouldn't have to hit each other as hard. You get what I'm saying? We'll do some funny stuff during the fight or whatever the case may be. That was just my assumption. So after all this has happened, and you know, that Bob ends up actually getting to where Charlie was supposed to be, he ends up having to drive all the way back. And Bob and Charlie and everyone was literally upset that, well, no, Charlie was upset. Charlie was basically laughing it off, basically, you know, keying about it. And Bob was more so upset. And me personally, I was more upset only because after I woke up, I seen what everybody was doing, trying to make it seem like I was the bad guy. That's what I was upset about. So anyway, long story short, the next day, you know, Bob ended up putting this post. Remind you, Bob was in my family. Bob ended up putting this thing up while I was at work. And was like, oh, okay, so royalty, do you want to fight? And, you know, it said something like royalty, do you want to fight, or something at the bottom. And, you know, I just went in there because at the time I was actually at work. So it was just like, I'm going to go in there, see what that's about, And it ended up being that Bob was mad that I didn't tell him that it was a storyline. Also, not on top of that, he was mad because I didn't check up on him, he said. But what I messaged Bob is, did he need any gas money? Bob did not respond to me. Bob did not respond to Charlie. And Charlie actually asked, was he okay? So, you know, me saying that he need gas money was just out of respect, being that I knew that he had drove 2 hours, and regardless, I would have drove too. It wasn't like, oh, I want you there first or whatever the case may be, to see if he's actually there, because I didn't know myself. We were just gonna, shit, we was both gonna see together. So anyways, I ended up talking to them, whoop, and they didn't really tell me at first what it was. But I did go in there, and Bob was basically saying, like, he was upset because I didn't tell him it was a storyline. Like I basically just told y'all. So after all this, Bob now wants to fight me. Bob wants to fight me. And then later, my spouse, which that's the clip I'm going to play, and I'm going to show you guys. And then I'm going to resume talking. So, excuse me. But yeah, so they ended up fighting, and this all basically happened because Bob ended up getting into their feelings. They didn't want to be forgiving. They felt like, you know, this was something to embarrass them. So they ended up wanting to fight me and then fought my spouse. After the fight, everybody was more so mad because I jumped in for my spouse. Regardless if we was friends 24 hours ago or whatever the case may be, like, I jumped in for my spouse. So then that started like a whole nother altercation. And then when I was telling y'all in my last video, my address was leaked, my number was leaked, it was a whole lot of stuff leaked. And it was just like, that goes to show, like, you can't always think that just because somebody says that they're on your side, that they are on your side. You get what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, that had put not only my life in jeopardy, but my family. And nor did I leak anybody's stuff, because that wasn't me. That wasn't my set goal. It was what it was. I wasn't gonna sit up here and dwell and sit on it. And, you know, everything had happened from, like, me stealing some keys. And I come to find out, I didn't even steal the keys. My cousins ended up having the keys, ended up finding them. It was so crazy. And then it's just like, my cousins didn't even want to give them back then. So it's just like, it was like, it is what it is. Cry 2 tears in a bucket, fuck it. You don't like it, tell your mama to suck it. So after all that, it was like a month that went by with just straight harassment, and it was just tomfoolery bullshit. And I dealt with it. I definitely dealt with it. I didn't mind dealing with it. But ever since all of that went down, it showed me that I had to move different. I had to not be so trusting quick. You get what I'm saying? I can't trust people so quick. It doesn't matter if they say they're on my team or not. I can't trust people so quick, but I have to learn how to trust someone. I have to learn how to trust someone. Maybe not a group of people, but one person. I feel like, you know, not sharing your emotions or sharing or getting to share anything with someone that you feel like you're very close to, that makes you a very closed-minded person and a very to yourself. So being that I do have people who love me and people who support me, I do a lot of times talk to you guys. I talk to my family. I talk to other people who may be dealing with my same situation. And this isn't a video to condone fighting, because I didn't even want nobody to fight in the first place. Me personally. But I felt like everything was so eggs on. Everyone kept egging stuff on. It was just like, you might as well just go ahead and do it. Like, but me personally, this is not to condone fighting, because you guys know the type of career goals that I have set for myself. But I will let it be known that you always need to protect yourself regardless. Whatever it is, you need to protect yourself out here in the streets, wherever you stay. When you go out, always be on your P's and Q's, because you don't know. You just don't know. Even being a social media influencer, a lot of us don't know who really likes us and who really doesn't like us. So we have to be cautious. You get what I'm saying? And we have to be cautious not only for us, but for our loved ones. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times, you know, what I really learned from the experience is that even though things could have went different, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I 100% believe that. And I'll take that reason, I'll deal with it, and you know what? And I'll learn a lesson from that to take on in my near future, near goals, and near things that, I mean, you know, everything that I have set for myself. That's what I'm going to take it. I'm going to take heed to, you know, learning the complications and let's say the complications in the outlandish, you know, behavior. So I really do hope you guys enjoyed the story. I know it was a little fast, or whatever the case may be. Just to let you know, I'm no longer friends with Bob. And me and Charlie, we do get along from time to time, but we do still have our times. And I hope you guys really kind of understood it. But more of the story, if you didn't understand, it was basically a fake storyline that I did not tell Bob about, that I did with Charlie. And Bob ended up driving 2 hours away, thinking that everything was to be an embarrassment for him to be in the spotlight and to be embarrassed, which it wasn't. And then me and Bob's friendship ended up ruining because him and my spouse fought, and I jumped in, and either way it went, it was just going to be ruined right then and right there. So everything would have just not been the same. And I just feel like I've learned from that, and I've learned how to move on Big O. And I definitely would love for you guys to come watch me on Big O, come learn some stuff, come, you know, interact, come talk, come chat, tell me you're from YouTube, you know, just let the girl know that you support her. But yes, and it was definitely, you know, some more things that were thought, but it was more so assumptions on people's end, And it wasn't like I wanted to sit up here and dwell on this or sit up here and talk about it too much. So I really wanted to give y'all kind of like some bits and pieces, but also be able to still glue those pieces together. And I really do hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do know that I was talking really fast, but like I said, I hope you guys understand it. Make sure that y'all like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure that y'all do also hit that bell for post notifications for when I upload YouTube videos. And also check down in the description below for all my other social media sites. And for our next video, we will be having a Q&A on my transition and also my condition. So if any questions or anything that you guys want to brainstorm up for the next week or so, go ahead and let me know. We're going to go ahead and get some questions out. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. Y'all are going to ask me some questions. I'm going to answer some questions. And my condition is HIV. So for those who do not know, if you have any questions that you're curious about, definitely don't be scared to ask. Any questions about my transition, definitely don't be scared to ask. And yes, I hope you guys definitely did enjoy the video. Until next time, bye guys.